Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Dev Diary. And today I wanted to simply stop thinking about this one idea that I have and just do it, even if it turns out to be a failure. So if you enjoyed today's video, remember to leave a like and subscribe if you're new to the channel. And also remember to turn on notifications so you don't miss future videos. Now, I have been intrigued with the mechanics behind Splatoon since it was pretty much first revealed. And along with games like Viscera Cleanup Detail, the general idea of somehow maintaining a vast amount of splatter data has been one of those personal programming white whales, if you will. And I've had ideas on how to accomplish them, though I'm gonna admit they are incredibly inefficient. But in order to test some of these theories, we needed a base. And so this is our 2D version of a Splatoon-like. Both the player and CPU characters utilize the same general systems, meaning everything from firing their weapon to dodge rolls are all using the same code. And this is so we can easily implement an almost infinite number of teams with extreme ease. All we need is a color to represent that team. From a control perspective, the player is capable of most typical top-down shenanigans. Dodge roll with right-click, fire a weapon with left-click. Firing their weapon will spawn a projectile that will do a number of important things. First, it will act like a bullet in that hitting someone of an opposing team will damage them, but also projectiles will leave behind a trail of paint, which is like, the key element to this whole thing. Projectiles also pop into another splattering of paint when it either hits an opponent, hits a wall, or reaches the end of its lifespan, resulting in yet even more paint on the battlefield. Now, the paint itself is produced by drawing particles to a surface, and this will kind of be important later when we get to the more technical bits. Anyway, enemies behave similarly to the player. They will move around the map using GameMaker's built-in pathfinding to avoid walls. The enemies can also dodge roll and will do so when within range of any opposition. They will also attempt to attack nearby opponents just the same. And yes, looking back at the footage now, they probably dodge roll a bit too much. But hey, that's just how they get it done. Another thing that needs to get done is my reminder that if you enjoy these videos and would like to help me keep making them, consider supporting me on Patreon. Doing so can get you access to exclusive content and downloads, and even early access to the weekly Dev Diary videos before they're released on YouTube. Now, any combatant who ends up losing all their health will be forced into a cooldown state. In this state, they cannot attack or move for roughly 2 seconds, after which their health is restored and said combatant can once again move around and cause more paint-related havoc. It should also be noted that whenever a combatant does enter this cooldown state, the projectile that did the deed will create a larger paint splatter than usual. Now, after 60 seconds, the real fun begins, which is where we calculate the amount of paint that has been left on the battlefield. So my idea was pretty simple. Break the paint surface down into a grid and try to guess which colors dominate each cell. This was done using GameMaker's getPixel function and reads the absolute middle of each cell. And we're going with the middle as it seemed to be the most fair position based on nothing but my own assumption. Now, the getPixel function should not be used this way, as it is extremely taxing on the system, but it was the only method that I could think of, which is why it is only done once the round has ended and we have entered the game over state. It's in this state that we read the splatter and then post the results, and those results are also used to determine the winning team. And that's about it, my attempt at a Splatoon-like, which sadly wasn't really as Splatoon-like as I had hoped for, because while it is possible to get some type of read from that paint splatter, we couldn't do it in real time, which means any gameplay related to the paint at any given moment is just not possible using this system, and it's taxing enough that we simply can't hide it when it happens. So what are our options here? To get technical for a second, I thought buffers would be the answer. A couple problems with that though. I'm not too familiar with buffers for one, but as far as I know, we can't simply save particles / the outcome of the splatter to a buffer. I mean, we could, but it wouldn't be any more efficient, because it's my understanding that any quote-unquote, conversion of data between GPU and CPU will be taxing, and so the more complicated it gets, the more it affects performance. And the only other alternative I can imagine are shaders, but much like buffers, I'm nowhere near knowledgeable enough to try anything with that. So I guess this is where I simply ask, have you done anything similar before? And if so, what were your results? Now, no more general note for those of you who graciously sat through that technical spiel. I really like this base that we've created, so what should we do with it in the future? As always, be sure to leave your thoughts and ideas in the comments. And with that said, brings us to the end of today's Dev Diary, so thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.